The coffee in my mug had gone cold. I barely noticed, my attention locked on the screen of my phone, on a message from my son that I had read a dozen times. It was simple, but it felt like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. Mom, can we talk? I need help. It's about my first time. My first thought was a scramble of confusion. His first time what? Driving on the highway? A job interview? But then the meaning settled over me, heavy and clear. And just like that, I was no longer a mother in her kitchen, but a young woman again, flush with the same nerves, the same fear of being judged. I put the mug down, my fingers typing a reply. Asterisk of course, honey. I'm always here. Come home asterisk. Tyler had just celebrated his 18th birthday. He was my only child, and after his father and I parted ways years ago, we had forged a bond that felt unbreakable. I had always vowed to be a sanctuary for him, a place of absolute honesty. Yet this felt new. This was a delicate, uncharted territory for us both. He walked in 20 minutes later, his posture folded into the hood of his sweatshirt, hands buried in his pockets. He looked so young suddenly, the little boy seeking reassurance. I waited on the sofa, and when he sank into the chair opposite me, the air in the room grew thick with unspoken words. I don't even know how to say this, he murmured, his gaze fixed on the carpet. You just did, I said, my voice soft. And I'm so proud of you for trusting me. He took a sharp breath and the words tumbled out. I think I'm ready to be with someone. But I'm terrified I'll do it all wrong. I've never, and I don't want it to be bad. And I have no one else to ask. He looked utterly exposed, as if wishing the chair would swallow him whole. I let the silence sit for a moment, allowing him the space to feel the relief of having spoken aloud. Firstly, I began, choosing my words with care, I am so glad you came to me. That takes real strength. I'm not here to judge you or make this awkward. I'm here to help you feel secure, informed, and respectful in whatever decision you make. A long, shaky sigh escaped him, a release of pent-up anxiety. I want it to mean something, he added. I don't want to feel like I'm making a mistake. There's so much noise about this online. It all just seems performative. That was my moment of clarity. He wasn't seeking a technical manual. He was asking for a compass, for emotional reassurance that the digital world or his peers could never provide. For the next hour, we just talked. We spoke about partnership, about personal limits, about the language of care and the respect owed to both himself and his potential partner. I explained that the first experience isn't a test of maturity, but a lesson in trust, in feeling vulnerable, and in true connection. He asked questions, and I answered them with a frank but gentle honesty, not as a lecturer, but as a parent who wanted her child to step into the world not with anxiety, but with self-assurance. Then he asked a question that surprised me. Would it be strange if I practiced the talking part? With you? You mean, like rehearsing a conversation? I asked. He nodded, earnest. Not the, just the words. How to talk about feelings, about comfort. I don't want to clam up. I could do that. So, we did. We navigated imaginary dialogues. How to ask, is this okay? How to listen, how to be open without shame. It was unconventional, even awkward at first, but soon the stiffness melted away. We even shared a few laughs. He told me it was the first time the concept of emotional intimacy truly made sense to him. In the days that followed, I noticed a shift in him. He was more reflective, more settled in his own skin. One afternoon, he came home and said, I talked to Emma today. About real things. And she actually listened. I smiled. That's because you're learning to be genuine. And that is a powerful thing to be. A week later, he appeared in my doorway late at night, holding a small box, his nerves palpable. I got these. Just to have, he said, offering it to me. It was a box of condoms. I'm not sure I'm there yet, but I wanted to be responsible, When the time is right. I took the box, met his eyes with a firm nod, and handed it back. That is a very smart and mature decision. Being prepared is part of being ready. He gave me a small, relieved smile. Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have had this talk with anyone else. The following weekend, I unintentionally overheard a snippet of his phone conversation with Emma. I wasn't listening in, but the tone was enough. He was being considerate, he was checking in, he was ensuring her comfort. It was sincere. When he came to say goodnight, he wrapped me in a hug. Not the quick, casual one I usually received, but a deep, heartfelt embrace that communicated everything words could not. That night, I lay in bed, awake. Not from worry, but from a profound sense of clarity. I had watched my son not just approach a milestone, but step into his adulthood with integrity. Not through defiance or silence, but through openness, bravery, and trust. Weeks later, he bounded through the door, his face lit up. I think I'm really falling for her, he announced. And does she feel the same? I asked. I think so. It's a real connection. It's not even about the physical part anymore. It's that I can just be completely myself with her. In that moment, I understood. What he had initially thought was a conversation about a single act had become a cornerstone of his character. It taught him about emotional courage, about responsibility, about compassion. And it taught me that my role as a parent wasn't to shield him from life, but to equip him for it. To be the safe harbor where he could voice his uncertainties without shame. So, I didn't laugh. I didn't scold. I didn't look away. I listened. I guided. And above all, I showed him that the truest form of love is built on a foundation of trust, not fear. If I had turned him away, he might have sought answers in shadows and misconceptions. Instead, we built a bridge of understanding that I will always cherish. And I can say, with all my heart, that I wouldn't change a single moment. Subscribe channel to listen to such everyday real life news stories. Thank you.